Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk the Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk the Cutler YouTube channel. And it's another Thursday. It's another Thursday already. It seems like this week has zoomed right on by, and I hope you all are doing well. I hope things are going great for you. I hope you're having a victorious week. I hope you're having a successful day. And if you're not, hang on, because we're going to talk about how to handle that, how to deal with the fact that you may not be having the most successful week that you want. We'll deal with it. We'll chat about it in just a moment. I want to tell people, if they're stopping by for the very first time and they're wondering, what is this guy up here for? What is he talking about? This platform is about inspiration, motivation. It's about challenging ourselves to be our best selves, even in the worst of situations. It's about making sure that we've shown up better today than we did yesterday. And it's about making sure that we are striving to show up better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that yesterday was a failure or flop. It doesn't mean that today was a failure or flop. It just means that we are evolving. It means that we are intentional about being our best selves in all situations. So we come together and we rehearse these moments so that when life is lifing, we can go out there and do what we need to do. Because I think a lot of times, if you plan and if you rehearse and if you sharpen your character, if you hone in on your integrity, when life happens, it's second nature for you. You don't have to make up anything. You don't have to go out and become something that you're not. So we talk about that every Tuesday and every Thursday for about 1,800 seconds. And this evening, we're going to talk about how to handle discouragement. And I'll tell you why we're going to talk about it in just a moment. But before I do, I just want to say thank you to those of you who are with me and have been with me for the long haul. Thank you so very much. And please make sure that you invite people to come on and let's talk to Cutler, because we are really just trying to help save people's lives. We really, really are. And whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's financial, whether it's spiritual, whether it's psychological, we are still trying to help save some portion of somebody's life. I promise you, we really are. I want to thank you again for hopping over in the chat. I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. Today is the 27th of July, and we're almost at the end of the month. So I'll shout out the LTTC VIPs again. Those are just the people who hop in. Not they're just, but those are the people who hop in the chat sometimes before I do and start saying hello and good afternoon to everybody. So come on over in the chat, talk to me, and give me your feedback based on the topic that we're going to discuss this evening. Again, we're going to talk about how to handle discouragement, because I dare say from time to time we all deal with discouragement. I've been listening to some young people these days and listening to their creative language, and some of the creative language of the young people is that sometimes when you are peopling, that's the language. Sometimes when you are peopling, you can be misunderstood, you can be misheard, and your words can be misinterpreted, and you can become discouraged. So how do we handle that? How do we deal with it? Sometimes just life in general. Another word that I've heard them use is that when life is lifing, life is doing what it does, meaning that life presents a bowl or a vial of so many things: the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs, and the roundabouts. When life presents all of that, sometimes you can become overwhelmed. Sometimes you can be discouraged. And I specifically want to talk about being discouraged. But before I do, I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs just a moment so I won't get lost in the conversation, because you all know sometimes I take off on 10 and it seems like there's no stopping me and I'll just keep on going. But I want to shout out Annie Cutler, Paula D, and Linda Martin for being the first that I see on my end to go into the chat. Excuse me, to go into the chat this evening. Thank you all so very much. But again, let's talk about discouragement. How many times do we deal with discouragement and we feel like we can't talk to anybody? How many times do we deal with discouragement in various facets of our lives? Sometimes it's in our personal and or private life. Sometimes it may be in a professional setting or in a more public space. But I want to talk about it nonetheless because I think we all deal with it or have dealt with it before. Discouragement means that you're low in spirit. Your spirits are low. In other words, what used to excite you no longer seems to be exciting. It might even be that your favorite pastime, the thing that you enjoyed doing once upon a time, now feels like a chore. Just going take a walk. Perhaps you like to walk. Perhaps you like to cook. Perhaps you like to work in the yard. Now those things that used to excite you no longer excite you, but they seem like a chore. That can be a form of discouragement. When you are low at heart and low in spirits, that's discouragement. It could mean that you're having a feeling of despondency, where you feel like your hope is just fastly and quickly fading away. Maybe at one point you had these high hopes and these expectations that things were going to go one way, and now that hope is fading away. I want to tell you all to hang on to your hope. Don't get. Let's talk about how to deal with this discouragement that we sometimes handle. I can tell you all that whenever I'm dealing with what seems like discouragement and when I feel myself becoming low, and I've gotten to the point in the place in my life where I'm very aware of my emotions, I'm very aware of my feelings, and I think many times we are aware, but it's what you do about it that matters. We said before in a previous conversation, your response is what matters. And I'll tell you the way that I respond. And this is just me. This is just how Cutler does it. How does Cutler respond to feeling low and recognizing when he's sinking into a space that is not his optimal space? I tell you what I do. I revert to one of my favorite passages when I think I'm going through life doing what I can do, what I ought to do, what I should do, what I could do, and doing what I think is my best. When I'm doing good, I revert to a passage that says, "And let us not be weary in well doing." And I can stop right there at that particular clause of that verse, of that passage. And let us not be weary in well doing. I'll get to it in a moment and I'll keep on going, but I want to encourage you all. Let us not be weary in well doing. Sometimes you're doing life to the best, to the fullest of your abilities, to the best of your capabilities. You're doing the very best you can. And sometimes when you are doing life as best as you can, again, I said it earlier, life does what life does. Life presents all of the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, indifferent, and all of those things. Sometimes when you're doing life and your people, and when you're dealing with people, interacting with people, sometimes you're misunderstood, you're misheard, your words are misinterpreted, all of those things. And you know that you're doing the best you can. May I share with you my passage, my favorite passage that says, "And let us not be weary in well doing." You can stop right there. That's what encourages me. I have to remember, I have to say to myself, Cutler, you're doing something good. Cutler, you're doing a noble deed. Cutler, you're doing something that's honorable. Cutler, you're doing something where you're trying to help somebody. You're trying to make a difference in somebody's life. And you all have to say the same thing about you. And there is no arrogance, there's no conceit in any of that. You have to say to yourself, self, you're doing good. Self, you're trying to help somebody. Self, you're trying to be all that you can be. So, self, do not be weary in well doing. I'll calm down because I told you all I told you all I could jump to a 10. I just want to encourage somebody because I know what life does. I know what life does, you all. Life does what it is supposed to do. And I want to always remind us that there is a way that we can respond. And I keep saying that your response matters. And you've got to know when you are discouraged. You've got to know, you've been you long enough to know the full gamut of emotions that you experience. You know when you're happy, you know when you're sad, you know when you're miserable, you know when you're mad. Now I feel like a poet. All of those things. And there are ways that we can respond to how we're feeling. Again, whether the discouragement is on a personal level, private level, or more public level. But I want to talk about, on a personal level. at the beginning of the pandemic and people were getting discouraged. I was out on a hike and heard birds sing and made me think of a song because I told despair. McDonough, absolutely right. And I'll talk about that. I'll talk about the things that the things that we hear, the things that we see, because I want to talk about how do we handle discouragement. Cutler, you're simply saying, not simply, but you're saying, and let us not be weary. Well, how can we? What tips? Excuse me. What tips and helpful hints do you have to help us not become weary and well doing? I'll tell you one thing, you all. You've got to make sure that you guard your mind. Make sure you guard your mind. I think I'm going to keep going to these passages, and I think about you have to focus on what you let inside your mind, what you process, and you are in charge of what you let inside your mind. Sometimes we say things like, I can't help what comes to my mind, but you can help how you respond to them. May I share with you another one of my passages, one of my favorite passages. It's not mine. It's not that I wrote it. You all recognize this, but it says, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report. Think on these things. Sometimes you have to guard your mind and you have to be very strategic and deliberate and intentional about what you meditate on and about what you think about. So when you're feeling a certain way, you have to remember, I have to meditate on something. If I'm going to meditate on anything, if I'm going to guard my thoughts, if I'm going to watch my mind, Cutler reminded me of the passage that says, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are uplifting, whatsoever things are encouraging, whatsoever things are motivating, whatsoever things are strengthening, whatsoever things are of a good report, think on those things. Think, my friends, on those things. Guard your mind when you are feeling discouraged and learn to meditate on the things that will lift you up. Meditate on them, think about them, rehearse them over and over in your mind. Guard your mind and know what to meditate on. I'm talking about how to handle discouragement. It will help you. It will help you. And just as our friend McDinah was talking about hearing the birds singing, I made a note to remind us that music will lift your soul. Music, when you are feeling discouraged, music will lift your soul. And as quickly as I say that, may I remind you, the right music will lift your soul. When you're feeling discouraged, you all do me a favor and do yourselves a favor and do everybody else in your circle a favor. When you are feeling discouraged, don't go playing somebody done me wrong songs. Don't go playing sad songs. My grandmother would say sad sack from way back. Don't go play. Don't go playing that kind of music. Melancholy stuff. One of my friends tells me about a relative, this lady who every Christmas, she lives alone. I think she lives alone. And every Christmas, she says that this relative of hers would break out this song, What Do the Lonely Do at Christmas? Now, why would you play a song like that when you live alone, when you're lonesome, when the holidays have the tendency to bring about all kinds of emotions? Why would you play a song like What Do the Lonely Do at Christmas? Why would you play that? So get you some music that is going to make you dance and make you laugh and make you move and lift your spirits. Playing the right music will lift your soul and encourage your heart when you're dealing with discouragement. I'm telling you, it will. So you learn how to play, whether it's Christian music, gospel music, or whatever it is, jazz music, whatever it is. Play music that's going to lift your spirits and make you get up, move around, and help to change your mindset, help to change your space. I'm talking about how to handle discouragement, because sometimes it comes so quick. It comes at us so fast and furiously, so hot and so heavy. Discouragement will come, and the next thing you know, your head is spinning. Your head is spinning. But I'm telling you all, you guard your mind and meditate on the right thing. You play the right music. It will lift your spirits. Your thoughts will change. Your mood will change. And your whole attitude will change. And you'll feel better about you. And you'll feel differently about the space where you are. Hattie, yes, the right music. I'm telling you. And then not only do you guard your thoughts and your mind, not only do you play the right kind of music, but sometimes you've got to talk to the right people. Notice a pattern here: right thoughts, right music, right people. Then it says Bob Marley songs, Three Little Birds has been running through my head the last few months. Play it, and as long as it makes you happy, play it and dance to it, get up and move and do whatever you want to. And nobody has to understand your music. If it's lifting and encouraging to you, play your music and keep right going. Sing along like nobody's watching, dance. I dance like I got a whole audience. And there's nobody but me. But learn how to do that. Right thoughts, right music, right people. Because talking to the right people who can encourage you is another way to overcome discouragement. When you know that you're dealing with discouragement and you can't necessarily handle it yourself, get somebody that you can trust, somebody in your space, somebody in your circle, somebody in your village, somebody in your community, somebody whose heart is connected to yours, and talk to them about what you're going through. And when you talk to them, perhaps they can encourage you and help you overcome the discouragement. It seems obvious, doesn't it? But so many times when discouragement comes, we back away from people and we distance ourselves from people. We separate ourselves from people. But I'm telling you, get the right people in your life that you can call, that you can text, that you can communicate with, and say, I'm dealing with some discouragement, and watch them help lift your soul or lift your spirits. When you are discouraged, that is not the time to become isolated. Discouragement and isolation don't go together. They are not a good pair. They are unequally yoked. You don't walk hand in hand with discouragement and isolation. I promise you, you don't. Right thoughts, right music, right people. And a part of that, and I think after we finish chit-chatting tonight, after this conversation, you just ought to go and get some music and say, Cutler, I'm already lifted. Well, just lift yourself a little higher. Go and get some music and listen to it, play it, dance to it, and sing to it. Do whatever you want to do. Because again, I say it every time I come on. This channel, this platform is about encouragement. It is about motivation. It's about inspiration. It's about reminding us to show up better tomorrow than you did. And you can't show up better tomorrow than you did today in a discouraged situation. So whether it's jazz, whether it's Christian, whether it's gospel, whether it's country, whatever it is, go and get some music after we finish chit-chatting tonight and just let it lift your spirits. Call somebody, talk to them and say, hey, how are you doing? What are you going through? You all right? Be thankful. And I will share this. We sometimes say, when we're talking, we're sharing a conversation, don't get stuck on past things. But from time to time, when you're dealing with discouragement, you have to think about some past victories, some past successes, some past wins, some past positive testimonies. You have to recall all those victories. You have to be reminded of those things and say, you know what, I'm okay, I'm all right, because I remember when. And when you remember when, I want you to remember the victories. I want you to remember the successes. I want you to remember the wins. I want you to remember the testimonies. I want you to remember those powerful moments. I want you to remember those happy moments. I want you to remember those gleeful moments. I want you to remember all of those things, those joyful moments, those celebratory moments. Remember all of those things. That's why I sometimes say keep a journal, write them down, because when you're in the midst of discouragement and it's happening so fast and so fiercely, just as quickly as I'm talking, you have to pull out a journal and say, you know what, I remember when. And it won't always be this way. I just helped myself real good when I said that. That's how you handle discouragement. When life is lifing and people are peopling, that's how you handle discouragement. Right thoughts, right music, right people, and remember some of your past wins and successes and victories and mountaintop experiences. Remember all of those things. Cutler, what else did you do? What else would you suggest? I'll tell you this. Sometimes just go and watch mindless humor. Watch a movie, watch something on TV. Go to the movie theater if you want to, and find something that's going to make you laugh. A comedy. Don't go and find something that's going to make you cry. Go and get something that's going to lift your spirits and help remind you that this too shall pass. A good comedy that's just going to make you laugh. I'm telling you that's what you do because you don't want to get something that's going to just pull you deeper and deeper into what you're going through. You have to say, I'm telling you all, you have to say to yourself when you're going through discouragement, and I'm not talking about something that's clinical, I'm just talking about life that's happening. So I'm not necessarily talking about clinical depression, but I'm just talking about life happening and when discouragement comes. And you have to say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to allow it. Not today. I'm not going to allow this because I'm better than this situation. I'm stronger than this. And this thing that's trying to pull me under, this thing that's trying to pull me through, this thing that's called discouragement, I'm better than this. And it won't get the best of me today. Not today. I'm encouraged. I'm happy. I'm joyful. I'm successful. I'm at peace. I also look at my completed tasks to see how much I've accomplished. Yes, you've got to look at your wins and your successes, no matter how insignificant they may seem to you sometimes and to other people. A win is a win is a win is a win. A success is a success is a success is a success. I almost got tongue tied with that, but it is you all. And you have to say to yourself, discouragement, what? No, absolutely not today. I'm not going to allow it. I've got too much going for me. And sometimes people will come in and people will present with their reasons and their tactics and their strategies and the maneuvers that trying to bring discouragement into your space. That's why years ago when we started talking, I talked about that we're building a house and we're building the space. And sometimes that is why people's bricks just don't fit the foundation of the house that you're trying to build, because I'm trying to build something that's solid and peaceful and you're trying to bring some discouragement. Absolutely not. So learn. Sometimes just go out and watch a good movie. Go for a walk, work out, do something that's maybe it's going to exhaust you, that's going to get all the stress off of you. Just do something that's just going to help clear your mind. When I was growing up, it seemed to be the theme of the day, and not just in my household, but it seemed to be the theme of the day and the cure-all for everything. Whenever you were going through something, the relatives and the older people would say, "Go outside and get some fresh air." Either that or drink some water. It was the cure-all for everything. Go outside and get some fresh air. Did anybody ever hear that growing up? Or maybe you said that to people. But that was the cure-all. But it was a matter of going outside and just refreshing your thoughts and clearing your head and getting a different perspective. That's what it was about, clearing your head and getting a different perspective, enjoying the sunshine, hearing the birds sing, looking at the blue sky, looking at the trees wave in the wind. It was just about changing your perspective. What a wonderful opportunity. What a wealthy opportunity that was. And I did not necessarily realize it as such until I became an adult. But the ability to walk outside and clear my head, that was something, because it meant I was walking outside and changing my perspective and changing how I saw my situation and changing how I saw the moment and the circumstance. That is mastering your space. That's learning to encourage yourself. That's learning how to say, if nobody else tells me it's going to be all right, I can tell myself it's going to be all right. What does that mean? That means that I'm intentional and deliberate about my own self-help. I'm intentional and I'm deliberate about my own self-love. I am intentional and I am deliberate about my own self-worth, my self-value. Seeing myself succeed, seeing myself reach victory, seeing myself accomplish things, seeing myself stand in the winner's circle. I am deliberate and intentional about those things. And if there is nobody else around to help me do that, I'm learning to do it for myself. Step out and change my perspective. Look at the sky, feel the wind blowing. Experience the fresh air going through your lungs. That's how you handle discouragement. Excuse me, because I think if we can handle discouragement on a private level in our personal space, we can handle it in the work environment and in public settings. We can handle that. But I just wanted to offer that to us, you all. And again, I may not even be all 1,800 seconds, but I want to remind, let us not be weary in well doing. You've got to realize that you're doing good. You're doing something good. You're helping somebody. You're helping yourself. You're building a life. You're helping somebody else build a life. You're taking care of others. You're taking care of yourself. You're doing something good. So let us not be weary. I can't say it enough. Let us not be weary in well doing. My friends, sometimes we forget that we're doing well. And I'm not talking about well in terms of earning riches and gaining fame and fortune, but I'm talking about the things that we are doing in life. They have merit to them. They have honor to them. They have goodness to them. And we are doing a good thing. And you have to say to yourself, I'm not going to be weary in well doing. I'm just not. Whatsoever things are lovely, just, honest, and of a good report, I'm going to learn to think of those things. I'm going to keep the right people in my space. I'm going to remember past victories. I'm going to play the right music. I'm going to be deliberate about clearing my head and changing my perspective, because I'm worth it, and how I respond matters. Y'all, you are probably saying, Cutler, you were passionate about that. I am. I'm passionate about us. I'm passionate about making sure that we know how to handle discouragement, because discouragement comes, and it comes in so many different forms and in so many different directions. And sometimes people bring discouragement and they don't necessarily intend to, but they are the carriers of discouragement. They are the conduits of discouragement. Sometimes they intend to, sometimes they are deliberate in terms of trying to bring you down and push negativity in your life. And sometimes sometimes it's intentional, sometimes maybe it's not so intentional, but nonetheless it happens. And I wanted to offer us a remedy for handling discouragement. You all, let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep our heads up and our hopes up. Stay safe, stay sane, and stay encouraged. And know that from my heart to yours, honestly, there is and always will be so much love. Tell somebody the next time, come on and let's talk to Cutler, because we're talking about real situations, real people, real life. You all take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Until the next time I see you, I'll see you. Be encouraged. Listen, get your music, dance to it, sing along with it, and let's do what we do. I'll see you all the next time I see you. Have a fantastic weekend, as I already said. Good night.